Welcome to Out of the Box 777. This is Anthony C. Rucker, and today we're going to be talking about how we treat one another and the lies we tell ourselves. This is going to be short, but it's going to be powerful and impactful. So sit back, get ready to listen, and let's do this. How we treat one another, lies we tell ourselves. In short, I believe that as a whole, in total, we treat each other terribly. That there are people who treat each other well, but the overarching majority of people, we treat ourselves terribly. And I think one of the reasons is because we have some misnomers and poor beliefs, and they are reinforced through some of our sayings that reveal how we really think. So today I'm going to address those in some bullet points, and we're going to just get straight to it. And then I hope this will change not only how you think, but how you treat other people and how other people treat you. So, welcome to Out of the Box 777. Today, we're talking about how we treat one another, the lies we tell ourselves. This will be a short but important podcast. I'm going to address a few common sayings that I believe will expose the low expectations and excuses for poor behaviors that are embedded in current human interactions. The major problem I have with these beliefs are how widely accepted they are. The other problem I have is the poor level of reasoning being used to justify them. With that said, I will get straight to the points. The first point I'm going to address is no one will respect you if you do not respect yourself. This is blatantly untrue and historically inaccurate. History is full of stories of people who met people who were down and out, who were disrespecting themselves, who lost hope and value for themselves, and people acted as helpers, as supporters, who reflected the joy and the love that they saw in that person, so that person could see themselves in the person looking at them and help them out. Think about this. What stories will we have of human kindness and love and compassion if you only respected people who respected themselves? Nothing would exist as it does. Even the word help would be different. Help would be more like support, because the only people who would get help are those people who were doing something to get help and act on it anyway, who were respecting themselves in a manner that says, you know what, I'm deserving of help. But think about what help would be if you only help people who act as if they were deserving of help. It wouldn't be the same. And so when you say this, no one will respect you if you don't respect yourself. It just basically gives us carte blanche. It gives us the ability, the freedom, the permission to treat people poorly because they treat themselves poorly. But like I said, we don't deal with loved ones that way. If it was your aunt, your uncle, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your best friend who lost respect for themselves, you wouldn't be like, you know what? Until they get themselves together, I'm going to disrespect them just like they're disrespecting themselves. No, you would want to be a mirror. You would want to reflect what you saw in them, the wonderful parts, and you will respect them and love them in hopes that they would love and respect themselves. So if you only respect people who respect themselves, I ask you to check your compassion, your morality, your humanity, hell, maybe even your intelligence, because you are deficient. You have a deficit if that is your criteria. You treat people based on what you know to do, not on how they act, on what they deserve and what you see, because sometimes people are not going to respect themselves. They're not going to see the value in themselves. But that does not give us the right to deny that value or ignore that value or treat them poorly because they don't recognize that value. Again, that's just an excuse for poor and bad behavior. You respect people based on what you see in them. And if they deserve respect and they're not giving it to themselves, you give it to them anyway. This next point is in line with the other one, but it's a little different. You teach people how to treat you. You don't teach people how to treat you. You teach people what you will accept. You will teach people how low or high you will go. And you will teach them what they can do and still have your cooperation, have interaction with you, have a relationship with you. But if a person does not know how to treat a person until they run into that person, then you have to ask yourself, like, where did you grow up? What were you taught that you don't know how to treat people unless you're taught? So you can teach people, this is how I like to be talked to. This is how I like to be touched. This is how I like to be addressed. But a person should automatically know, just from culture, from human interactions, there should be something inside your life that has taught you how to treat people, to treat them with kindness and compassion and love. And then the question is, well, do we treat them that way? But what happens again, this is like similar to the first one. What it's saying when you say you teach people how to treat you, you teach people what you accept, what you know, what you feel, what you love, how you want to be addressed. But if you are a person who has grown up in an abusive situation and you want abuse because you think that's love, that's not teaching me how to treat you. You're not going to teach me to abuse you. You're not going to teach me to neglect you or lie to you or take advantage of you. What I'm going to teach you is that what you're teaching me is not acceptable for me. That I will not stoop that low to treat you terrible because you like being treated terrible. And if your expectation for me is to treat you terrible, we can't be together. I literally had a girl who I dated who said that I did not love her or care about her because I wasn't emotional enough. I didn't holler, I didn't scream, I didn't get like physically abusive, I didn't get animated. And then I said, so let me get this right. If I screamed at you, hollered at you, maybe shook you or hit you, we would still be together. And then she was like, at least I would know that you care. And then I said, you got with the wrong guy, because I don't care how wonderful you are. I don't care how much I care for you. I'm not going to hit you or holler at you or mistreat you to keep you. She didn't teach me how to treat her. She taught me how she wanted to be treated or how she was conditioned to be treated. And I refuse to go there because I have agency. I have choice. I have respect for her and I have respect for me. And I'm not going to let someone bring me down to a low point just because they will accept it. And again, if you will go low because people like it or because people will accept it, then you're the low person in a relationship, not the person who's asking you to treat them that way because that's the way they believe they need to be treated or that's the way they've been conditioned to be treated. You don't teach people how to treat you. You teach people how you'd like to be treated, and they have to make the decision on what to do with that. This next point, it got raised with social media, in particular with Kevin Samuels, when women called in and someone said, well, they called in. If they didn't want to hear it, they shouldn't have called. And they were talking about, the caustic or, dismissive or degrading nature that he might have responded to some of the women. And I am not saying anything about Kevin Samuels because I don't know enough about the man to make an opinion about his totality and what he did bring. I've heard him say some very abrasive things, and I've heard him say some things very level-headedly in a calm manner, that seem to have some, logic and reason, though I don't agree with it, that he still made those points. So, but I'm just saying, in dealing with the point, they called in. If they didn't want to hear it, they should not have called. Again, this is about a level of self-respect. And this, again, is people saying that they can reduce their level of humanity and their level of treatment of somebody based on what someone will subject themselves to. Like if they come in there and they'll get beat, I'll beat them. If they'll come in and be called stupid, I could call them stupid. And if they didn't want to get beat or called stupid, then they shouldn't have came. Let me tell you something. Even if somebody volunteers for abuse, it does not excuse or absolve the abuse or the abuser. You're just an opportunist, but you're an opportunistic abuser. And then you have willing victims. But having a willing victim does not change the fact that you are a victimizer. Having a person who's willing to be abused does not change the fact that you're being abusive. So it doesn't matter if they called in. It doesn't matter if they didn't want to hear it. It doesn't matter that they shouldn't have called. in the scope of the person doing the abusive act, the one participating in victimizing somebody. You do not get an excuse or a pass. I'm not saying it doesn't matter that they didn't call in on their part, but I'm talking about on the part of the person who picks up the phone, who picks up the microphone, who answers the video chat, whatever. No one volunteering for abuse gives you the right or the freedom or the absolution or the lack of guilty conscience to abuse and take advantage of those people. They are incorrect for calling, and you're incorrect for taking advantage of them. And you are using their willingness and their ignorance of their worth and their value to exploit that ignorance and make a point, whatever it is. So I don't care if they called in. I don't care if they didn't want to hear it. I don't care if they should not have called, because that's their problem. But the problem of the person who abuses is the fact that you took advantage of it. And you were low enough in your nature or yourself to take someone in that position, take advantage of it, and then claim higher ground. Doesn't work that way. This will be short but sweet. Love is blind. I don't know why everybody keeps claiming that love is Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles. Love isn't blind. Let me break this down. Love is like money. People love to have it and they hate to lose it. And just like people act around money, where they will engage in poor behaviors and poor judgment in the name of not losing it, in the name of finding it, in the name of holding on to it for dear life. And then we talk about what we couldn't control or what we couldn't do or how we were overcome, and it's not. It is fear, it is desperation, it is rampant desire, it is unrealistic expectations and desires to achieve. And it's the same thing with love. We get near love and we think we have it, and then if something goes wrong or something starts to malfunction, but we think it's close enough, we'll make excuses because it's better to have a little love than no love. And then if someone doesn't love you back, then all of a sudden there's a problem with them because, they didn't love you back. And if I love you, you're supposed to love me. Love is not an exchange like money, where if I give you the money, I'm expecting something in return and you're required to give it. True love is given because it is love. And if someone loves in return, that is the ultimate gift. That is the ultimate fringe benefit. But if you are loving to get loved in return, you've made it a demand. And that's not love. That is a demand. That is a request. Hell, in some ways, it is an ultimatum. I'm not going to love you unless you love me. And so what happens is we get in all of these positions because we want love. We're afraid to lose love. We're upset at the person who didn't respond with love. And then we do all of this stupid stuff. And then when we're called on the carpet for it, when we're looked at and say, yo, what's up with that poor behavior? We'd be like, love is blind. I was blinded by love and I didn't know what I was doing. You weren't blinded by love. You were blinded by desire. You were blinded by desperation. You were blinded by fear. You were blinded by revenge. You were blinded by anger. You were blinded by whatever other emotion it was, but you weren't blinded by love. Because think about it. If love put you out and made you a victim, if it set you up for failure, if it was conniving and underhanded, if love was all of these terrible things, what would be the point in being in it? Where would be the worth? Love is not blind. We become blind when we engage in all of these negative responses to emotions because we do not know how to handle love, whether it's the acquisition, the loss, or the maintaining of it. Love is not blind. We just have poor behavior. This point might sound a little bit redundant, but it's just a couple of finer points I want to hit. You teach people how to respect you. We've talked about respect. And we've talked about, someone respecting you even when you don't respect yourself. But this is the thing about it is, as people, I'm pretty sure we know what respect looks like before we run into relationships. We learn it from children. We learn it by how people interact with each other, by the level of esteem or lack of esteem that they show for each other, by the level of kindness and the level of consideration, the level of attention, the level of support and love and help. And we know what these things look like. So if you ask somebody, like ask a little kid, you know, how could someone show respect to you? They could tell you. So the thing about it is, again, with this, you don't teach people how to respect you. You teach people how you interpret respect. You teach people how you want to be respected. But people know how to respect you before you come. And if you just say, well, you know what? This person doesn't recognize this level of respect. And so I'm not going to give it to them because they don't recognize it. And since they're not requiring it, I'm not going to do it. I can get away with respecting them less based on their standards. Again, that is poor behavior. If you respect somebody and you know a level or nature of behavior that will express it, but you don't because they don't understand it or they don't demand it, again, I question your integrity. I question you as a person. You're just using their lack of knowledge to justify you vibrating lower, for you acting and behaving below the standards you would have for yourself. And so, no, you don't teach people how to respect you. You teach people how you like to be respected, what you find respectable. But people know how to respect each other. They know how to show kindness and love to each other. And if you lower that because someone doesn't know, if you change it because someone doesn't require it, again, that's on you. And this is the other thing. You can also teach people how they might want to be respected because they might not have had the level or kind of respect that you were going to give to them. And once they experience it, hey, they like that too. So we can't just assume, well, that's what they have. That's there based on their experience. And because they've learned that based on their experience, they can learn other things based on other experiences. We're supposed to expand each other, help each other grow, complement each other, enhance each other, not sit up there and cater to each other's shortcomings and help us stay boxed in or on some low level of behavior. So respect people how you know to respect people. You might teach them a different level of respect that they might learn to have for themselves. This point is near and dear to my heart because I'm a black man who's a father, a son, a brother, a cousin, an uncle, a nephew. I have so many women in my life who I love and respect, and I protect them. But this blanket statement, black men do not protect black women, that includes me. And so, first we have to learn how to make our statements. Some black men do not protect black women. And that's very true. It's some black women who do not accept protection from black men. It is some black men who do not protect anybody. And there are some black women who don't accept protection. See, the key word is some. But to summarize the interaction between black men and black women and say that as a whole, black men do not protect black women, that is a falsity. And it's a falsity not only because it's untrue, but because of just what I've seen in my life. And so, yes, I've seen some men who are absolutely terrible and will not stick their neck or their hands out for a woman. But I've seen black men who will stick out their whole bodies, I mean, neck, everything, life, livelihood, to protect black women. So my challenge is this. Black women, if you think black men don't protect you, then you need to check the black men that you are around. Because chances are they're just grown boys. They are men who have grown up physically, but have not grown up spiritually, psychologically, or emotionally to be fully developed. They are underdeveloped men who do not recognize their role, their position, and their relationship to you. But to characterize it as black men in general don't protect black women, again, you're also limiting yourself based on your environment. Because when you talk about this, you're not talking about black men you haven't met. You're talking about black men you have met. And then you're talking about other women who are stating what you say. And so now you think, okay, because there's more than one of us, that it must be true. But there are more than one woman who will say that black men protect them. There's more than one woman who will say black men will die for them. So instead of saying black men do not protect black women, say the men that black men I don't hang around don't protect black women. I need to hang around better black men, fully developed, emotional, psychological, and spiritually developed black men. And that I need to hold a higher standard to who I position myself around. And it's not about who I've been around, it's who I can be around. Because there are men out there available to protect you and to take care of you and who will be there for you. And it won't be a problem and it won't be an issue. It will just be how they live. So black men, do all black men protect black women? No. But do black men protect black women? Some of us do. And I don't know the numbers, so I can't say, most or 80% or 90%. I just know this. In my lifetime, I have seen, experienced, and been around men, black men, who have no question, who have no doubt, who have no reservation, who have no latent response in protecting black women. And if you don't know them, then you need to get rid of the men in your life or hold them to a higher standard. And then if you don't hold them to the higher standard, you need to find men who hold themselves to that standard. But black women, there are black men who respect you and protect you. And if you don't have them around you, get around other black men. This last point is also near and dear to my heart. Because as a brother, as a father, as a cousin, as a nephew, as an uncle, I have women in my life who show me the utmost respect, who understand what it is to love, especially in America as black people, who have taught me concepts and ideas of love that I couldn't have learned from a man because we don't have their experience. Just like I can teach them concepts of love and protection as a woman that they couldn't learn from a woman because they don't have that understanding or experience as a man. And there's always things that we could teach each other. But there are black women out there who help me hold my head up, who reinforce who I am, who reinforce what I can do, who are supportive no matter what, who will go to the fence for me and go to the fence for other black men. And there are black women out there who do this on a regular basis. And again, like I said in the previous slide, black men, if you are dealing with women who don't respect you, then you're not dealing with fully developed women. You are dealing with women who are undeveloped spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, maybe one, maybe all three. And so the goal is not to summarize all women based on those women, but to understand that you need to hold the women in your life to a higher standard or find other women to be around. I guarantee you can't go 2 miles without finding a black woman who respects black men, who love black men, who will go to the wall for black men, live and die for black men. And we're out there for each other. I mean, there are some women who I see, I'm like, man, I am so happy that you're a sister. I am so happy that you are the example that I can show. Because I have a daughter and I need women because she can't look up to me as a woman. She can look up to me as a father, as a protector. She can look at me and say, these are the characteristics I want a man who's going to be in my life. When it comes to what she's going to be, how she's going to live, how she's going to present herself, and how she's going to interact with men as a woman, I need women to model that. I need black women to be there for her. And so I look for those black women, and when I see one, I'll be like, listen, baby, look at this woman. Look at what she does. Look at how she handles adversity. Look at how she expresses herself. This is all possible for you. And I'll let my son and my daughter know that the adversity and pain that they see in relationships is not indicative of relationships. It is not a given. It is only indicative and given if you lower yourself to a standard where you accept it and you deal with people who bring it to you. So, black men, I'm telling you this. If you have women around you who don't respect you, hold them to a higher standard. And if they will not live up to that standard, then find other black women to be around you. And choose to be around women who understand your worth, your value, and will respect you as the black man you are. But what's given in both situations of these last two slides, that if black men are going to request and demand that black women respect them, we have to be fully developed black men who are respectable. And when I say fully, I don't mean that you have to be 100% without any flaws or any inconsistencies, anything like that. What I'm saying is you have to be fully developed enough to be in a healthy, supportive, symbiotic, and reciprocal relationship. And if you can't, don't expect the same from her, and women the same with you. If you want men who respect you and protect you, and you want to be around them and everything be great, then you have to be fully developed emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. And then you have to be able to be in a symbiotic and reciprocal relationship. And again, not fully whole and perfect, but fully whole enough to be able to participate in those kind of relationships. And that's what we have to get to. So to summarize, we have to stop making excuses to justify and continue behaving poorly and treating each other badly. I believe we do this because we believe we are inadequate and incapable of living up to our higher selves. We also do it because we have an inherent distrust of one another and are in a constant state of protection and fear of being hurt. But there are some simple truths we have to accept if we are to be successful in relationships. And these truths are very simple. One, without trust, there is no relationship. If you don't trust somebody, you might be relating to them, but you don't have what we consider a healthy relationship where you are in agreement with somebody. There can't be an agreement without trust. Without vulnerability, there is no growth. If you're not willing to be open to someone, then that's just like having brittle earth. The seed is not going to be able to take up root. And if it does, it's going to be shallow and it's going to die quickly. You have to have vulnerability. You have to have malleable, well-watered earth to grow in. And that earth is vulnerability. So if you don't have vulnerability, you are not going to grow. You're going to be stagnant. And that's it. And without compassion and consideration, even the truth can be abusive. If you don't consider someone's feelings, the nature of how it's going to impact them when you tell the truth, it can be just as abusive as a lie or a smack or a hit. And that's not to say sugarcoat the truth, but it's saying that if you have the choice between presenting the truth on a napkin or tied to a hammer, you choose the napkin. Because the napkin is something they can receive, it's something they can hold, and it's something that they can process. But if you take the truth and you hit them over the head with it, they're going to be probably so consumed with the pain and the agony that they went through to receive that truth that they will never receive the truth. And believe me, hitting somebody with the truth is just as abusive as hitting somebody without it. And lastly, if we are not open to one another, we are close to enjoying one another's company. That's just the point. I can't be closed to you. I cannot refuse to be open to you and then fully enjoy your company because I'm not letting you in. I'm not giving you access. And without access, we can't be present. And without being present, we cannot make contact. I can't touch you through a door. I can't touch you through a wall. I can't touch you through a phone. At one point, to touch you, I have to be close enough in proximity. And we have to be agreeing that we can touch one another. So we have to agree to be present with each other. And then we have to agree that we're going to make contact with each other. And we're going to use that contact to build a healthy, symbiotic, and reciprocal relationship. So if we are not open to one another, we are closed to enjoying one another's company. And I don't care what you do. If you take away trust, if you take away vulnerability, if you take away compassion and consideration, and we take away openness and say that we are relating to each other, say that we are building relationships, we are just lying. And these are the lies that we tell ourselves. This has been Out of the Box 777. Until we meet again, live your life freely and fully.